I think if we don't address our psyche can actually cause accidents. Dr. Young and Dr. Edinger both indicated that. One story that Dr. Young used to tell was that there was a man he was seeing in Zurich who one day he ran into on the street. He was actually across the street, and the man shouted over and said that he had had a couple of dreams of falling off the mountain, and because he was a mountain climber. And I never really. And Dr. Jung said, well, you shouldn't go mountain climbing anymore. That'll be very dangerous for you. And for the longest time, I didn't really understand what he was saying. But anyway, in the story, 3 months later, the man did step off into space and fell off the mountain and died. And what he was saying was that that when the psyche says something like that to you, you should pay attention. And if you have a dream like that, uh, you should definitely pay attention to it and try to understand what your psyche thinks you need. I had a similar experience. I don't recall specific dreams, but well, I don't recall specific dreams, but certainly I was doing a lot of things in 1989 and 1990, and I was trying to get going on a business that later became a public company 15 years later. But in the fall of 1989, I became aware of this business and the possibility of building it up. And I was also active in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve at the time. I was serving as a lieutenant colonel, and I was serving as the reserve counterpart to the head of standards branch of the U.S. Marine Corps. So my branch, when I was serving in my reserve duties, was to write the performance standards of the U.S. Marine Corps. And but that was a very time consuming and lawyerly kind of job also. And on January the 4th, 1990, I was in uniform on Marine Corps Base Quantico. I had just parked my car, and there was very slippery ice there. And I was very focused on what I was going to do that day in my Marine Corps assignment. And I was hurrying across the parking lot, and bang, I went down. And I looked down at my foot, and it was literally off my leg. It was separated from my leg, still attached by skin, but not much else. And it was, you have to be very careful on days when there's ice on the road, and then it gets a little bit warm, and that ice gets very, very slippery. But in any case, I broke my leg in two places, and the Marines sent the ambulance to pick me up, and the shotgun for the ambulance driver jumped out and came around the ambulance, and he slipped down and dislocated his shoulder. So he had to jump in the back of the ambulance with me. And off we went. And I ended up having that repaired at Bethesda, and it turned out to be an all right repair. But just 2 months ago now, I had to have that ankle replaced. And so now it's actually much better. But my point is that may well have been the same type of thing where my psyche was telling me, slow down, You can't do all this stuff. You can't go build this company if you're going to be running off for the Marine Corps all the time. And so that, in fact, was the last thing I did in uniform officially. I do still have my uniforms, and occasionally I perform an honor salute for our local hospice. But other than that, I don't have any official duties any longer. So I do think that there are messages from the psyche, and you better pay attention to them because they can be deadly. Dr. Edinger talked about, you can cut yourself with a chainsaw or something like that. And so you have to be aware. Let's see. Yeah, Grace says, if we don't address our psyche, it will address us. Quite so. And, my psyche gives me very clear messages. I mean, as I said, even today, I've been struggling with my other work that I need to do. And my psyche was telling me, you need to Sabbath, you need some time off, you need to do something that I, the psyche, think you need to do, and that's doing this video right now, which is I actually have no choice but to do it, and so. These days, I mean, in the last few years, I've rather been bemused by it, but that is the way it is. And we need to be conscious of these things and taking dreams seriously because your dreams are telling you something. For example, the mountain climber in Switzerland, if he had paid attention to his dream, maybe he wouldn't have fallen off the mountain 3 months later. But his dream was trying to tell him something, and Dr. Jung knew that and warned him about not doing mountain climbing anymore, but he went ahead anyway.